Well, good morning. My name is Scott Freeze with Allied Environmental Group, and today we're out talking with Brent Pence. Brent and Christine Pence and their daughter Paige is one of our fine farming families, our customers, and we're getting to know their operation a little bit better. Brent, tell me a little bit about your farm. How long you been farming?
We've had crops and been farming for about 18 years. Got started, my family actually didn't farm for a living. They had other occupations, and I was very fortunate to have a local farmer here nearby to kind of take me under his wing and work for him. Basically, when I was 14 years old, I started helping him in the summertime, bale hay and things, and through college and everything like that, we were able to kind of start crop farming there while I still work for him. And then some very fortunate things happened. We had some wonderful families that would take a chance on us when we were very young to rent their land to us. A couple gentlemen retired, and they were looking for producers to take over their farming operation, and we were very, very, very fortunate that they let us get started that way, and it's kind of grown from there. It's amazing to think where we started to where we are today, that's for sure.
Things happen. This industry is quite interesting because it does take a community. It takes a group effort. Like you mentioned, some friends and some neighbors that you first initially started renting ground from, and now that you've been 20 years into this, and it was worth the risk. There's a lot of risk and reward in this operation and in the industry. How do you manage that? As a family, how do you manage that risk and reward?
Well, we've decided as an operation to be very proactive in the technology side of it, and our equipment. We try to run, pretty up-to-date equipment. The acres that we're covering today, downtime is a bad word around here. There is no one ever been able to tell me what the figure is, money lost and downtime. Until we figure that out, that's a bad situation. So we have to run pretty current equipment to get over the ground that we're covering and do it in the time that we're able to have. For instance, this spring, we were against the wall and tried to plant all these crops in basically a 10-day period, and you can't. That's not to say newer stuff won't break down, but your chances are less likely of that happening. And the technology that you guys help us with the monitors and the GPS and auto steer, some of the older lines are a little more difficult to do that with. So we've kind of chosen to go that route.
Yeah, this technology, as it changes every day, just in the last 3 or 4 years, how much has it changed? How much have you got to introduce to new things compared to 3 or 4 years ago? And then talk about that comparison to maybe 15, 20 years ago when you first got started.
Well, I relate I've kind of thought about this recently actually, and I kind of relate the technology and the equipment side with the seed and the technology side. And we used to have hybrids that you would find a corn hybrid that you would like for 5 or 6 years. You would get to keep planting that, or soybeans the same way. Well, now, if you get it for 2 years, you're lucky, and a third is crazy, and the tractors and the combines and all that are the same way. If you don't try to keep up with it, you will get behind so fast. And the technology we have on both sides of that is incredible compared to what we had 15 years ago. I mean, you think about the last 2 years with the way the crops have went. I mean, in our area last year, we went basically the whole month of August with hardly any rain. And, you're thinking, oh man, these crops are going to be terrible. And we had great yields. And, you take corn from, 10 years back, it would not have withstood that type of drought conditions. This spring being delayed planted, I have never seen corn grow like this in my life. And you're with it as well every day. And it's pretty amazing to think that, that it's like a greenhouse. Obviously we had heat and moisture, but we're behind, but I don't know that we're really that far behind where we were last year this time. So it's the technology side of it it's making farming, I wouldn't say easier, but it sure is helping the situation, that's for sure.
The development of these new hybrids and varieties certainly have helped manage that weather risk, which is probably the biggest in terms of what we have to deal with on a daily basis. but something else that helps is the development of this technology. Like we're standing in front of this tractor, auto steer, RTK. You're using RTK to steer, and from a guidance standpoint. And tell us a little bit about how you think guidance and auto steer to that level accuracy really helps you in your operation, and talk about your other people in your operation, how they're using it.
The first time that we got to use auto steer was about 2004. We used the AutoTrack SF1 from John Deere on a self-propelled sprayer, and basically did that because human error was becoming such a factor. Even when I was doing it myself, it's not a fatigue thing as much as it's an overlap thing, and you're not getting those chemicals overlapped. You're not injuring crops, that type of thing. And we've grown it from there. The system on the sprayer will pencil out and pay for itself. The tractors, the combine, I think the combine situation is the data is much more accurate because you're actually allowing that machine to take that much of a swath instead of weaving back and forth. The data is more accurate when you collect the harvest data. And the tractors, that's simply, for us is a fatigue thing. Like I just said, we have to plant so much in so short a window that, we practically live in these things. I know this spring, I didn't see my daughter for a week, but when she was asleep in the morning at night. So when you're in there 12, 14 hours a day or more, it sure makes life a lot easier, and you're able to watch your implements or your planters and just take into consideration what they're doing and paying more attention to that than where you're headed actually.
You had mentioned to me at an earlier conversation talking about your father-in-law and his adoption to cell phone technology. What's he think about this auto steer? And tell me, a lot of times there's some wisdom in terms of how their experiences. Has he shared any of that with you?
Yeah, he has, in so many words. He's amazed. He'll be 78 years old, and he's amazed at what, obviously he's seen a lot. He's farmed all his life. He cannot believe what he actually sits in today. He runs the grain cart in the fall, and he's in heaven, basically, as he calls it. But, he was a little slow to accept the fact that this was kind of what, we were doing. I think he kind of didn't understand until he actually operated some of the machinery in the combine. He runs the combine some as well in the fall, and he gets out of there and he just can't believe how much better at his age his body feels by not being fatigued at that. And, to go back on something there with technology, he's been no-tilling since 1979. And not only the equipment side of it, but he likes to talk about the chemistries we have today with no-till. They used to fight things that we don't have to fight today. We've got chemistries, we've got seed technologies. He's seen the whole array of things, and it's very interesting, and actually it's very I call it very cool to actually let him be able to do this because he's great help, and also the fact that he's getting to witness something he never had been a part of.
Joining me now is Christine Pence, and we're going to further talk about their operation here. Christine, you operate a lot of the equipment that we're standing next to. You drive semi. You also have a full-time job, so I think that's great. I think we need to talk a little bit about that. But tell us a little bit about your experience with some of the technology on the farm.
Okay. Well, I grew up on a family farm down in Greene County, and my dad sometime put me in the tractor, and the old tractor, no air condition, that sort of thing back then. And then I met my husband and at college, and we got married and stepped up in the fancy equipment with the auto steer and the huge tractor, the huge planter, and he put me in the semis to haul grain. And I took me quite an adjustment to get used to the auto steer technology, and so my husband showed me how to operate the stuff, and it really makes my job easier when I can sit in the tractor and not worry about so much how straight I need to be, and I can concentrate on keeping an eye on the equipment, make sure everything's running properly. Except the one day when the auto steer went down and I had to go back to the old way and and manually steering and try to keep things straight. So it definitely is something that is challenging to get used to, but once you do get used to the technology, you can't live without it.
It's interesting how as humans, we get really used to technology, and then once it goes away, we can't hardly operate.
Right.
And just as you experience in the tractor and in the farm, you would have never thought about having that type of experience. But indeed, the technology allows you to have that
Right.
same experience. It's really interesting to me. You guys are quite integrated in terms of helping each other in your operation. Working with some livestock as well. Where's your passion? What do you really like to do when it comes to the farm?
Well, I enjoy running the equipment, and my husband and I are pretty good teammates. But he gives me a job to do. I really like to sit in a semi and haul grain. My daughter, she rides along with us, and we kind of do our own thing, and Brent can manage the farm and the harvest and the equipment and everything. So, but I really enjoy being involved. I do have a full-time job, but it's flexible in that I can take some time off and help in the spring and the fall when I'm needed. But my, you know, full-time job is working for the Ohio Department of Agriculture. I'm an inspector with the Livestock Environmental Permitting Program, and I'm on the road about 365 days a year and inspecting the farms for environmental compliance. And I get to travel around the state, and I can come home and tell my husband stories about how my day was and how the fields look and the crops look elsewhere. So it's good to make my rounds and put a lot of miles on. But I really enjoy my job as working with farmers. So I work with farmers during the day, and I come home and work with my husband farmer too. So.
We're back talking with Brent again, and Brent, I was talking with Christine a little bit about the team and what sort of how it takes more than one or two individuals to operate today's operations and farms. And tell me a little bit about your team. Who else is on the team, and how many does it require?
We are very blessed, obviously, first and foremost. I've got the family that I have around me. My wife and daughter are very big parts of it. My father-in-law, as I spoke of. My dad helps from time to time. My best friend Jim, for 30 plus years, he and his family, we kind of farm some together, and he's here every day helping. We kind of think of this as an operation where we all try to share knowledge and try to help one another. We all, if they see something that I am not seeing, they speak up, and that's what you have to do, because everything is on the fly anymore. It's so important to get it done so fast, but you got to do a good job at the same time. And I've got like 3 part-time. Actually, I got a full-time gentleman, Cody Jones, and then Todd Anderson, Zach Ayers help me part-time. And we've got a wonderful bunch of guys and my wife, and we got great camaraderie. We have fun. We make this fun, because if you don't, it gets pretty intense. And we have fun, joke around, and as long as we get the work done at the end of the day, that's all that matters. So
We, Allied Environmental Group, we're a team as well, and a lot of times it takes different folks to emphasize, their particular area, their particular level of expertise, just like you guys do in your operation. We talked about auto steer and guidance, and you talked about one of the benefits was in the combining, capturing data. And I want to talk briefly about information and data. How do you see that using that better as we move forward?
Well, obviously, Allied Environmental is a great partner in collecting. I actually collect the data, and then, Doug or yourself or someone actually helps me download that information. And we've thought of that as a kind of a 3-tier thing, not only for the planning for variable rate when we do that, but also collecting data for our fertilizer recommendations. We have to use, there's no sense in trying to let the computer spit out what it thinks that field has averaged the last 2 years. We use the combine data to do that. And we have taken sample fields over the years and actually just run a fake recommendation, and the computer will spit out one thing. We take the yield data and plug it in, and it changes it. And sometimes it's for the better. It actually didn't need as much as the computer thought we needed to apply. So that's huge. Obviously, you and I both know fertilizer prices aren't going down, and so we're putting it by you guys, helping me develop my fertilizer recommendations. We're putting it where it needs it in the fields, and trying to get the most bang for our buck in those better parts of the field instead of just dumping a straight broadcast on the field itself. We're putting it where it needs it, or where it's utilizing it the best.
Well, and that's the key to having that accurate information from the combine. We're putting the right product in the right place for the right reasons, from an environmental standpoint, and actually from a production standpoint, and from a profitability standpoint. All those things tied together help manage that risk, help grow your business. Brent, we appreciate your time today.
Thank you,
Great
Scott.
talking with you.
Appreciate it.
Your Partner in the Field has been brought to you by Allied Environmental Group. For more information, visit our website,